official, spring has arrived. The birds are chirping, the sun's shining, and it is a beautiful day.
Now, as beautiful as this time of year is, it really has snuck up on us, and it's made us realise how late we are this year in taking care of these pretty unruly olive trees. They really need trimming, and we've got a tool that's going to help us with that, hopefully. But before we get trimming the trees, we need to sort out the water situation up at our vegetable garden.
At the moment, we haven't actually got a water source beside the raised bed, so it's a matter of taking a watering can and going a 40-metre round trip each time to one of our above ground water tanks. It works, but it is also a waste of time, so we need to improve that.
So we've got this IBC tank, which we actually got, I can't remember how many months ago now, but we got it so we could have water to run the pressure washer to clean the tiny house stone. But it's been sitting down here, and because we haven't been doing much work on the tiny house, we've not had any use for it, so it's been sitting here empty. We are going to need one here in the future when we're doing work on there, whether it's water for filling up mixes for concrete or things like that. But for now, this is redundant, so we're going to take this, shuffle it up to the other end of the property, and then we'll have some water right by the greenhouse.
Are you enjoying playing a drum there, Ricky? More like bongos.
So for those of you who watch regularly, you'll know from when we put the greenhouse in and when we put the raised beds in last week that this area is on a slight incline. As a result, the IBC is on a slope. So we need to level this ground out a bit to get the IBC flat, so just the water inside will sit level and not put the weight on one side or the other. We also want to level it off because we want to raise this up on some blocks. One, so we can just get it higher and get a bit more pressure if we need it, but also so we can get it high enough to get the watering can underneath the tap.
These are heavier than they look. Now, and it's all level. Next thing, we need to fill it up with water, but having raised it up on these blocks, it's so tall, it's almost as tall as me.
So we're just trying to piece together the two longest bits of pipe and hose that we have so we can stretch all the way from our big 30,000 litre tank over to the IBC. So the last time we filled up that IBC at the other end of the property, we pumped straight from the well to the IBC. We did it, but to be honest, it was a little bit of a faff. So this time we're going to try and make our lives easier. We have this big 30,000 litre overground tank. We are a little bit higher than where the IBC is now, so we are hoping that there is going to be enough elevation to just turn the tap on this and it runs straight out and fill up the IBC. Let's give it a go. I can hear it intermittently going into the IBC, so that's a good sign, but we do have a pretty bad leak here, so I think we're losing quite a lot of the pressure in this. So we'll stop it off, try and fix this, and then we'll turn it back on again.
We've got a pretty healthy flow going into the tank, but it is going to take a while, so I think we'll make use of this time and go and make some lunch and come back and check on it in maybe 15-20 minutes, Ricky?
I don't even think it'll be that long, to be honest. Right, so now we've got bellies full and a full tank as well. It's surprising how cool this feels, because this hasn't come from deep down in the well. Normally when you pump from a well, the water's like ice cold, or it's been deep underground. This has been in a kind of metre-ish high overground tank, but yeah, it's good to know that that keeps it nice and cool as well. So next we just need to fit a tap, because we don't want to keep using the one on the IBC because it's a bit clunky, and also we just don't want to break it. So I went out yesterday afternoon and bought a nice brass one. We're going to fit that now, and that'll make it easier for filling up the watering can too.
This is snazzy. Look at that.
Glug.
Any drips?
So far so good, but I know sometimes with water it can take a little while to find its way through. Milady.
Just a temporary measure so it doesn't blow away.
Well, I was just outside pottering, cleaning a few bits up, when I hear Victoria shout my name. So I've come to see what's going on. She's come rushing out with marigold washing up gloves on, a spatula and the washing up bowl, because Poppy had her eyes fixated on something on the wall and she's found this absolute monster of an insect. I forget what the name of these is right now. Maybe I'll put it up on the screen at the bottom, but these things have a nasty bite, and this thing is about 5 inches long. I mean, you can see the size of it compared to the washing up bowl and my hand. I'm gonna go and take this, walk it somewhere a bit further away from the house and just let it loose.
I've been mentally preparing myself for this because I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed because we've got so many olive trees to cut.
We're gonna have to be a bit brutal with some of these because they're having a bit of an identity crisis. They've just got shoots, branches going off in every which direction, and although we're gonna have to be quite severe now, these trees grow back really quickly. There was one tree that last year, that we really hacked back. Now it's big and bushy, and yeah, it's amazing really what a year has done. So next year we'll be able to shape them a bit more, but for now we're just going to try and find the ones that are going straight up in the middle, chop them out, ones that are overhanging too low, chop them out, and the ones that are kind of nearly overlapping and competing for the same space, kind of take the smaller one of them out, allow the other one space to grow.
It's a little bit like if you cut your own fringe and then you have to even it up a bit by cutting a little bit more, and before you know it you've just got a tuft coming out your forehead.
These two?
Yeah, both of them.
All the way back?
Yeah, they're really straight actually. Will you put them to one side once you've taken them down?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have gone brutal with this one. Victoria, do you feel like a savage?
I do, but this is our lovely fig tree and it's actually going to stand a chance now because it was getting really smothered out from the sun by this unruly olive tree. We just spotted these tiny, tiny little green balls on the fig tree. Now, I think that these are baby figs, but Ricky seems to think that these are the buds for more leaves to come out of. What do you think? Fig or bud?
And not to try and wriggle my way out of it, but on a second look, I'm unsure. So maybe Victoria's right, but
maybe.
What do you? With nice like rounded mushroom bushy trees like this, it's so tempting to just kind of shave off the top and have a nice full tree. But we know if we leave it like that, next year we'll have loads of dead parts on this tree. So we've got to be heartless. We've got to cut out the middle and make it a bit barer. Victoria, would you rather trim olive trees every day for the rest of your life or never eat another olive ever again?
Oh my goodness. Olive tree cutting. At least I'll be fit.
It's a pretty repetitive task doing these trees, especially when you've got as many as we have. You know, you're basically just doing the same process, but for a different tree. So you've got to find ways to keep it lighthearted, have fun, stay motivated. Well, we've stripped this one right back.
It's not our best work.
We are only joking though. I know it does look bad, but it's necessary. It's what you have to do. And if you've never seen Portuguese cut them before, they cut them in the exact same way. If anything, our immediate neighbour is even more savage with his than we are with ours. He's basically left next to nothing on, but that will be very fruitful in the future. There I was thinking I was getting a nice shot of Poppy just rolling around having fun in the grass, until I realised she had a dead mouse in her mouth flinging it around. Lovely. Well, at night time you can tell spring is here because it's no longer quiet anymore. It's alive with sound from wildlife. I look like I'm filming the Blair Witch Project. But yeah, the night just comes alive now. In the winter it's pretty quiet, but right now it's just so loud with toads, frogs. But I'll see if I can capture it on the microphone. So we carried on trimming up some trees after we stopped filming yesterday, and I think we got another 2 or 3 done, I can't remember now. But there are still so many more left to do. There's about another half of the olive grove left to do, plus we've still got another however many olive trees around the rest of the property. So we decided that's going to be something that we're just going to chip away at over the next week or so. But just from the trees that we cut yesterday, we have so many branches and cuttings that we need to dispose of somehow. And in the past, all we've done is burn everything, but this year we're going to try and compost as much as possible.
At the moment, we've got 2 compost areas, one which is basically just a pile, a dumping ground, and the other that's actually a bay, but it's completely full and pretty small. Neither of these are anywhere near our veg patch, so the plan is to create a 3-bay system that's going to be really close to where we actually need the compost, and we're going to make it out of these pallets.
On our other compost bin, the smaller one, we actually just fasten the corners with what they call tie wraps, and that's just really common. That's what lots of people do. With these ones, we couldn't do that because the pallets are slightly different, and we also didn't have any tie wraps to hand, but we had plenty of scrap wood, lots of screws, so we are just screwing them together with these in the corners.
Bed compost system. The idea is that in bay number 1, your raw stuff goes. That is the beginning of the story. You leave it a few weeks, move it into bay number 2, give it a turn, add more oxygen, and then finally the stage here, number 3, is where the final product is and where you can then transfer this into your vegetable garden. That's the theory, anyway.
So now that we've got the compost bins set up, we can take some of this up and start trying to turn this into black gold. Apparently that's what people call compost, Victoria tells me.
Before we put this into our compost bin, time to get our new tool.
Now, although this tool is cheap, it really is going to be an absolute game changer for us here on the farm. If you're not sure what it is, it's basically just a cheap little electric chipper. And we've been holding off getting a chipper for so long because we were looking at big petrol powered ones with their own motor in, and they would have been able to handle much bigger branches than this can. But we kind of thought, well, it's going to be ages until we wait for that. So instead of having everything to burn, we could get this little thing and it could be a little stepping stone, and we could start chipping away at things and adding to the compost.
No!
You look like you're running the marathon as a box.
So, I shouldn't be this out of breath. Going to line the compost bin number 1 with some cardboard, just so the chippings don't actually fly out the sides. Hopefully that will also contain and control some of the moisture levels in this bed as it begins.
Right, first one. I think we're going to start off thin. We're not going to put too much pressure on it to start with.
How's it looking?
It's actually much finer than I thought. Good stuff.
Oh no!
Well, that just jammed and turned off very easily. Hopefully that's not going to keep happening, because otherwise this is going to be a long day.
This machine, it's reduced that whole pile of branches into this sack. That's it, all of that. Amazing. I have no idea what Ricky is doing there.
Right, Victoria's pop culture knowledge is shocking. So anybody else out there, if I do this, that, do you know what I'm on about? Let me know in the comments. I hope I'm not alone here. Well, I tell you what, I'm very happy with that. That's far exceeded my expectations. I was expecting it to get stuck a lot because I was feeding a lot into it, and it's actually handled it pretty well. So Einhell, that's the company that makes it. Big thumbs up from us. Also, one thing that's amazing here that really is going to make such a big difference to us is just how much it actually mulches down into and chips it into. I think so far we've done somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 chipping of what we cut yesterday, and it's gone down to next to nothing. So this is going to be amazing for us in the future. It's going to help give us loads of compost. Now, as good as this little chipper is and as impressed as we are, I can definitely feel the motor is getting pretty hot. You know, it's only a small thing and we are working it pretty hard. So I think we need to give it a little break and come back out and chipper in a bit. But while we're having a break, Victoria saw something a while ago that she wanted to try. It's a crafty little project using the olive branches.
First step is to take all of the leaves off. So we're going to attempt to make a little basket out of these olive shoots. FYI, never tried this before, so might not go according to plan. Looks about right. The correct way to do it is to use one of these shoots to start it and to bind these 4 shoots together. They're going to be like the bones or like the ribs of the basket. But I haven't got supple shoots, so I'm going to cheat and use some brown string just to get it going, and then I'm going to switch and use the shoots again.
Trying to film with a dog that just wants to love you all the time can get difficult. Victoria, quick question.
Yeah.
Is it meant to have that many gaps?
Well, it depends what you want to put in your basket. No, is the answer. These, I think, are a little bit too brittle, but I think as I go out a little bit more, it'll work. I'm just going to keep going and we'll see where we end up. Did you ever watch the Generation Game?
What? Brucey.
Yes, the very same. Well, I feel like I'm a contestant and I'm not doing very well.
Oh, what, in the skill round?
Yeah. You do well on the conveyor belt, though. I'm fastening my remaining spokes together to start creating the shape. This is so much harder than I realised. I had to sacrifice off one of these because it snapped. And so yeah, now I'm back to having 6 spokes when I'm meant to have 7. Yeah, I'm just going to carry on and see where we get to. You like it, don't you?
Well, I think my expectations were a bit too high going into this, and that's a compliment to Victoria because she's very good at craft, she's very good at art, and whenever she does anything, normally, yeah, my expectations are high because it normally turns out really good. Not so much today.
It's like a Bane mask. The more I do, the worse it gets. I don't understand how to make a basket. Oh, I think they're too short. I think that's one of the problems, one of many problems. I think it's important in life to know when to quit and to learn from your mistakes. And I am going to try doing basketry again, but today's not the day. I know when people use willow to make baskets, they do actually soak the shoots before weaving them because it makes them more supple. So I think that's one thing definitely to try next time. Never mind.
And on that high octane finish, I think we'll leave you there. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.